My first public concert was when I was 9. My mother said I was picking out melodies on a neighbour's piano when I was about 3.5, 4. There was no piano at home. My parents couldn't afford even a small upright. But my neighbour had an old beaten piano, and I beat it further. I couldn't be removed from it, apparently. So it's always been inevitable that I played the piano. I mean, I remember playing the piano long before I could properly talk. Probably still the same case. It's always been part and parcel of my inner magnetism for it. It's just been an inevitability. When people say, you know, do you want to become a pianist? Because it's impossible, especially coming from the poor part of East London, as you've come from. But thanks to scholarships and thanks to my own gritty sort of determination and arrogance, I turned their argument upside down. And I'm very proud of that background because it kept my feet on the ground. I didn't become an airy-fairy sort of floating artist. I became somebody who was rather a bit too direct for some, but at least you know who your friends are, and I don't think I'm likely to change very much. In the same way that my musical tastes haven't changed very much since I was very young. If I had to take the music of one composer to a desert island, it would have to be Beethoven, because the directness, the incredible range, and the incredible level of genius leaves many other very talented people in the shade. And there are some wonderful composers, but I don't think any has quite the range of utterance of Beethoven, from the incredible tragic to the intensely humorous, never in the same mood twice. So yes, he would be my favoured composer. With regard to a favourite piece, that's difficult because there are thousands of pieces, and I've been playing now for nearly 60 years in public, and I've done about 3,500, 4,000 concerts. So how can I say this is my favourite piece? One amusing answer is the piece I'm playing at the moment, but that's a little bit generalised. I think it depends on my mood. You know, there are some marvellous pieces of music which are light-hearted. There are some very profound pieces. It depends on mood. I suppose, in a way, with regard to excitement, it must have been the final of the Tchaikovsky competition in Moscow. It was Lenin's centenary, and I thought I'd have very little chance of doing well. But Emil Gilels was on the jury. He was the chairman, and apparently he liked my playing, and so did the jury, and the public seemed to as well. And I was very pleased to reach the finals, of course. But playing the 2 concertos in the finals was a special event for me, and although I don't like to say this is the most exciting concerts I've given, it was the most exciting occasion, I would say. And I think if I had to name one memory of a concert that gave me a lot of excitement looking back, it must have been that one. I can never get one concert out of my system which really moved me more than emotion, and that was by the great Chilean pianist Claudio Arrau. In London he played both Brahms piano concertos with Sir Adrian Boult, and I was lucky enough to work with Boult on many occasions. And the collaboration on that evening was electrifying, and Arrau was on top form, and again, you know, I think he was much happier giving concerts rather than making recordings. Recordings show him in a sort of a two-dimensional state, whereas in concert he could turn this into greater than an orchestra. He was a magical master. I had the privilege of knowing him well, and he was the most humble and modest of men. But on this particular occasion, he did both the Brahms concertos, and it was memorable. I think I have to say that was my favourite concert by anybody else. In a studio, there's a missing dimension which is so important, that of the public. It's a very important 3-part thing with a concert. You need the creator of the music, the composer, the recreator, which is the performer, and the receiver, which is the public. You need all 3 ingredients, and then, if you're lucky, things will take off and you will feel inspired. And that's a very special buzz which cannot be described by words. You know that you are approaching a different dimension, and you are able to see yourself or sense yourself in at least 2 dimensions at once. It's an extraordinary mental state in which you do play your best. And I'm convinced that enormous power is available for all people, not just musicians, all people to receive. It's available, but so often neglected in this instant world we live in of material greed and jealousy. Many, many times. I think all my life it's been a very important component of my narrow piano repertory of different companies. I don't stick to one particular make. I play very good pianos if I can. And certainly the top Yamahas are amongst the top pianos. And this latest model is particularly impressive. Above all, I love the evenness and the clarity of the treble registers, so often lacking in other leading companies. And they're very strongly made. I seldom find a Yamaha which goes out of tune during a recital. The tuning remains absolutely right. It's a beautiful Yamaha, and it's a remarkable improvement on previous models, and they were already a very high standard. And it was a joy to play the piano, really was.